Hello everybody, it is Calxiyn here. So today, before we get started, let me just say that you guys should become patrons over on Patreon, or you guys should join our Discord server. So we are going to be talking about Spring as Raven's right-hand woman, because in the most recent episode, we see that when Raven is not around, Spring is very much in charge, and I think that we should kind of talk about that, and sort of the implications of that as well, because...
Do you think Cinder,
Cinder?
Raven, and Spring would have a threesome?
Hunter, I hate you sometimes. Like, I know you're just trying to, like, that you're kind of, like, sick of me making you do videos and
No,
I
was thinking about this,
okay.
but then I was like, I'm never gonna have to be able to bring it up, because that was our last Spring video of the day.
Oh, you mean this one?
Wait a minute. This is the last Spring video, so we might as well...
Okay.
Might as well just bring up my query.
I just, like, I want to talk about, again, we already made a video
they're all
on our...
saucy, you know, I feel like they would get along.
We already made a video about our first impressions of her, of Spring, but let me just reiterate, like, she has this very powerful sort of thing about her, and where Raven, I don't want to say she's violent with Crow, but she's like, where's the Spring Maiden? I don't know if you guys even heard that, but I banged on the table, like, where's the Spring, or not where's the Spring Maiden? Raven wouldn't say that, like, do you have the relic?
Where's
like, I'm
my
asking
girlfriend?
you one more time, like, do you have the fucking relic? Like, you know, like, Spring hasn't really operated that way, like, she's very, like, I don't want to say even she's coy, but she's very, like, she's very smooth.
She's cool, she's quiet.
It's like, if Hunter was like, you know, I guess, like, basically what Weiss said was, you know, my sister's gonna come. You know my sister,
yeah,
right?
also, come on.
White, like, the special Atlas operative, and then she was like, oh, like, oh, silly, you're out of the loop, aren't you?
Oh,
like,
honey.
oh, honey. Not oh, silly, I don't know why I said that. Like, oh, honey, you're out of the loop, aren't you? You know, like, something,
yeah.
like that, and it's more in control than Raven. Like, her and Raven already have a very distinct way of doing things. Raven is not really kind of coy like that with Crow. I don't know if she's like that with other people, but with Crow, she's not really like that. Like, she was like, you know, like, give me the, like, give me the relic, and like, oh, I told you that the school was gonna fall down, and it did, you know, like, all that stuff. Like, Raven's a lot more harsher, I find, but then with her, she's factual, you know what I mean? Like, she's not really threatening anything that isn't true, necessarily. Like, she's not threatening violence on Weiss.
She's not threatening, she's promising. She's just stating facts.
Yeah.
She's showing her dominance in, like, a subtle way.
Yeah, exactly. And so she's not, like, threatening Weiss with, like, if you get out of this cage, I'll kill you. She's just like, oh, honey, like, your sister left. Like, I'm sorry. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's...
You didn't even graduate your first year at Beacon.
Yeah, like, you know
Sit your ass down.
You know what I mean? And so it's less of, like, like, if you come out of here, like, we'll kill you or something. It's not really those sorts of, like, threats that can sometimes be empty. That was just, it was less of a threat and more of, like, a rebuttal. Like, it was a very, like, graceful sort of explanation for, like, yeah, your sister isn't coming to get you. Like, Ironwood took all of his tin cans out of here. I love how she said tin cans. Like, have I talked about that enough? I love how she said that.
Not mentioned your love of the tin cans.
That was a very nice line. And so when you kind of think about things that way, I think it's sort of evident that, like, Spring is sort of the, like, the good cop, while Raven is definitely the bad cop. You know what I mean? Like, Raven's the one that kicks Weiss in the face, but then Spring's the one that tries to, like, convince her, hey, like, you know, don't cause any trouble and we won't kick you in the face again. Like, that's kind of how I see their relationship working, and I think that's super interesting, because I think that means Spring is a lot more manipulative than Raven, and not that we haven't really seen Raven's interactions with a regular person. Like, she just may be to the point with Crow, but then she's kind of, like, manipulative with anyone else. But to have someone that's kind of, like, very cunning in her interactions with people, because, again, she wasn't like, oh, Weiss will kill you, or, oh, Weiss, like, you know, like, your sister's not coming to get you because she's dead. Like, she didn't do any of that. That's what I thought was going to happen in Winter, by the way. Like, I thought that's where she was going. But, like, she's just stating
really
facts.
Shoots my theory in the foot that Winter was going to come and save Weiss.
I know.
But, right.
But yeah, like, it's not, they're not empty threats. They're literally just, yeah, your sister's not
Stating
here.
facts.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Just stating,
like,
you don't need to threaten people when you just need to stay fast.
Exactly, and so I like that about her, because, like, I feel like other characters have such, like, hardcore threats, you know what I mean? With, like, especially when compared to Adam, right? That Adam is like, oh, we're gonna enslave humanity. Well, like, you know, it's not really a factual promise, let's say. Whereas Spring is just like, nah, man, your sister's gone. Like, sorry, but maybe you shouldn't just make a fuss, or else, you know... Like, no one's coming to get you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's very different, and I enjoy that interaction. And then I can see why that Raven kind of picked her to be her right hand, because even though I think the tribe does value power and, like, people being powerful, and that could be why Spring is the leader, like, Raven obviously made sure that she also had leading capabilities that had nothing to do with just pure strength, right? Because that's why I think those guys are scared of her, right? Because they know that, like, she can really fuck them up. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But I think that Raven was also able to teach her something outside of maiden powers, that, like, the end-all be-all of this world isn't just having maiden powers, it's also about knowing how to talk to people and knowing how to get what you want, right? And so I feel like Raven was kind of able to make her into this person that was able to kind of analyze what people were saying, and then sort of, she reminds me a bit of Tyrion. Like, she doesn't have that same sort of snark that Tyrion does, but I think she'd be a very hot, like, female Tyrion, if that makes sense, like, from Game of Thrones.
We're all just, oh, I thought you meant from, RWBY.
No, from Game of Thrones. Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
And so, like, it's kind of like, because Tyrion never really threatens people, you know? He just tells them how it is. Like, no, like, my sister knows this and she's gonna kill you. Like, it's not like, oh, like, some big bad threat, you know? It's just like, here are the facts, okay? My sister's crazy. She's fucking my brother. Like, it's not, you know, there's no playing around with Tyrion. He doesn't really have to lie. He understands so much about, like, what's going on in this world that he can just sort of throw that back at the people that he's talking to, sort of thing. Like, I don't remember an instance where Tyrion had to hard lie, you know? Like, there have been some, like, half lies, but not, like, a hard, like, bullshit. You know what I mean? Because he's able to kind of see what people want and, like, analyze it based on that. And that's how I feel like Spring is. Because she saw that, you know, Weiss was trying to immediately threaten her with Winter. And so the best course of action was to inform her that Winter was not coming to get her now. Because, like, oh, well, the bandits can take your sister. Like, it wasn't like that. It was, your sister's not coming because Ironwood sent them all away. So what do you want me to do about that? You know what I mean? And so, yeah. And so I appreciate that in a character, because instead of being like, oh, the bandits are like, oh, big bad brutes and they don't, like, really care about, like, sort of complex thought. Like, that's what a couple people thought that they were gonna be like, I think. More than a couple. I meant, like, I think that's what most people thought they were gonna be like, or at least half. That they were just gonna be kind of bronze and no brain sort of thing. But, like, if you think about it, that other guy kind of did the same thing, right? Like, he overheard what Yang wanted, and then he was able to convince her, even though he was an asshole, to let her, to take her to them. You know what I mean? And so when you kind of think about it like that, you see that these bandits have been very much trained by Raven to, like, analyze what people want and then get something else from them. You know what I mean? And, like, with Yang, that has some, like, rapey implications, because I don't know what that guy would have wanted, but I think that guy would have been rewarded by Raven for bringing Yang, so we don't need to worry about him, like, wanting a lock of her hair or some shit like that. But that's kind of, like, I guess how they operate, and I think that's really interesting, especially, like, for Spring, again, to be kind of Raven's most trusted, that it's not only that she's most trusted, again, with the strength of the maiden powers, it's also that she has this kind of brain behind it, and she knows how to kind of get what she wants. And that's why, like, you think that Raven would talk to her, right? But Raven's like, I'm too busy for this shit. Like, Spring, you got this. Like, Vernal, like, you got this covered. Like, I believe that you can do this, you know what I mean? And so I think that's why she also sent Vernal in, because it's almost less threatening than Raven being the leader and then telling Weiss off. It's like somebody else that isn't really the leader but is also in a position of power is kind of giving you the rundown before the person in the position of power comes back. And it's sort of like almost like they're not working together, but Weiss knows that they are, obviously. Does that make sense? I feel like that was a really confusing...
It was definitely a string of logic, but it was...
It's sort of like when the villain's sidekick is talking, like, you know what I mean? Like, the villain isn't back yet, but, like, the sidekick obviously was kind of fed what to say
and also,
from the sidekick, you know?
The character.
Well, yeah, obviously, and they introduced her very, very well. I think that they did a really good job in how they did it. But yeah, I think that's kind of why she holds that right-hand man position, man. Like, she is a force to be reckoned with. And I really like how they introduced her. I like how, like... I appreciate that the bandits are not idiots. Like, even the guy that was kind of talking to Yang that way and got his, like, punched in, like, even he had, like, enough intelligence to say, oh, hey, like, she's looking for Raven, I know where Raven is, like, put two and two together, you know? Like, I appreciate that there is some intelligence in the bandits here, and there is some, like, strategical thinking. and some planning, even in how they talk to Weiss, could have been easily planned. Like, hey, you know, if I come in, it may be too strong, but if you, like, start her off easy and kind of establish that, like, all the bandits know this information, that, like, Winter isn't coming for her or whatever, like, even, like, the quote-unquote lesser bandits, right? It just, I don't know, that's what I'd do, like, it's like, I'd send you in before sending me in,
Thank you.
In that sort of situation. Not, just because people may be more frightened by me than you, or the other way around, it doesn't really matter, but, like, you understand what I mean? I believe in you, Hunter. I think that you could tell Weiss that her sister isn't coming for her. So I hope that you appreciate that.
Thank you for
Anything that
believing
you would like to say, Hunter? Because I feel like I've been talking a lot and I'm sort of out of breath, and so I feel like that you should talk.
This was more your, baby, but I don't disagree with you. I'm looking forward to that. I'm really at a loss for what they're gonna do with that character, and I enjoy not having any idea what's going on. Greatly.
You enjoy not having any idea what's going on?
Like, just with the idea of what they're gonna do with her, or like how she's gonna crack good, or how they will defeat her, or how Yang and Weiss will react, or if Crow and them will ever show up in time.
But I guess, like,
I don't know what's
more that you think, like, with her smarts, like, with how, like, with maybe why Raven chose her, like, outside of the stuff that I
feel like
mentioned.
she saw raw potential and then crafted it.
Yes! That is what I wanted you to say.
Okay.
I like how you're just looking at me like I'm crazy. No, but you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I think that she did. She saw this girl that was sort of like, oh, fuck the police, like, sort of like that, but, like, instead, like, oh, fuck Lionheart, you know? And she was just like, let me take this opportunity and then teach this girl well. Like, let me teach this girl, like, sort of my craft, you know what I mean? And I really like that. I just really like, kind of, and then she made her, again, into her right-hand man, and so she was fulfilling that promise. She didn't just, like, oh, like, I'll train you to be my second in command if you give me this, and then she didn't fulfill on, like, actually training her and actually giving her a position of power. Like, she said, I will give you a position of power if you do this, and then she did. Like, she fulfilled her promise, you know? She wasn't bullshitting, you know what I mean? And so she made sure that she was well-trained enough to kind of, like, stay with them and shit. And I really like, the idea of how they've, come to be together, I suppose, in a non-shipping way, as Hunter has suggested through most of these videos. And so, Hunter, do you have anything else to say?
No, I do not.
But I really like that. Like, that's what I wish I could title this video, like, as a subtitle. Like, you know how essays have headings and then they have the thesis? That is the thesis. Like, she saw raw potential and she crafted it, and I love that. I love that about Raven, and I love that about the Spring Maiden. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, if you did, you should come join our Discord server, become a patron over on Patreon, and we'll pretty much see you guys later. I hope that you enjoyed this again, and yeah, guys, bye!